Hello, my name is Jasmine Agnew, and this is my educational biography. I am a product of Baldwin City Schools, located in Baldwin, Mississippi, which is rural Mississippi in the Black Hills region. Baldwin, Mississippi has a population of about 3,000 people, and of those 3,000 people, I am related to a great number of them. Industry in that area of Mississippi is primarily agriculture and textiles or furniture manufacturing. My mother, however, worked in one of the very few clothing manufacturing companies there when I was a little girl. She was sewing pockets on blue jeans. And I can remember when I was in kindergarten, she made the decision to go back to school. My father worked at the meat cutting plant and also was a butcher, and he worked later in furniture manufacturing. My father had a GED. My mother had a high school diploma. My father made it very clear that he had no intentions of going back to school, but he found it very important to support my mother in her endeavors. So when I was in kindergarten, I remember watching my mother as she would sit at the dining room table and study her nursing homework. And even then, I saw her drive and her tenacity. And even though I could not put a name on it way back then, I knew that there was something about that grit and that desire to do more. 2 years later, of course, she graduated. I was in the second grade. Even then, I did not have quite a name for what it was that she had exhibited, but I knew that I wanted to be just like my mama. I wanted to be able to sit down and study and enjoy school. And as I moved throughout Baldwin Public Schools, I had a love for learning. Um, I can remember one of my biggest struggles came not in elementary school, but in middle school. I loved spelling. Spelling was just something that I had a passion for. And when I was in the sixth grade, I decided to participate in the spelling bee. So I went and won the county spelling bee on my very first try. Left there and went to Tennessee, where I competed in the regional spelling bee. I still remember to this day the word that I misspelled, and it was dismal. And I spelled it Desimal because I thought he said decimal. That word was ingrained in my mind, and even now I have a complex when it comes to that word. But I can remember my instructors and my teachers then, how much they encouraged me to study. Years later, I decided to try my hand again in the spelling bee. And because I had not put forth the same effort and the same time in studying, I did not do so well the next 2 years that I participated. That took me on from Baldwin Middle School into Baldwin High School. When I got to Baldwin High School, I found myself again in competitive academic events. And now it was no longer spelling bees, but I did a lot of extemporaneous and prepared speaking. Um, I think that the most valuable thing that I learned was while I was in high school, I was in English class with Miss Kim Haynes, and I was in the gifted English class, the AP class, and there was so much of me that wanted to just be with the other kids and be in the regular English class where they read the regular English books and not Othello and things like that. But I remember Miss Haynes always saying, "You are so brilliant. You are so smart, and I am so proud of you." And even then, I didn't see myself as being a success. I didn't see myself as being one of those great students. But she saw something in me that I did not even see in myself. Um, as I decided to choose a different path, I can remember how excited we were when I got my ACT scores back and made a high enough grade to get an academic scholarship to the community college just for my score on the English portion of the ACT. I'm not really even sure if they still do that now. But then a few months later, I found out that I was pregnant. And it was almost as if my whole plan for academics and everything, my plan to go to Mississippi State and to go on to law school, the plan was thwarted. But I remember when I was there crying in the hallway of Baldwin High School, she saying, "You are so smart. You are so brilliant. And I am so proud of you. And this is not something that's going to stop you. This is just a kind of bump in the road." So I took that and that instilled in me to continue to push. So I went to the community college and decided to do a 2-year degree in health information technology. Finished my 2-year degree. I can remember going in labor on a Thursday after my afternoon class, and then going to the hospital, having my son that next morning, staying out of school for 1 week, and then going back to school because I was determined to get that degree. So in 2 years, May 2002, I walked across that stage, and I felt within me that this was not the end. And I still heard Miss Haynes say, "You're smart, you're brilliant, you have so much potential, and I am so proud of you." And that voice in my head is what propelled me to continue. Now, I did have to take a break because I had to go to work because I had a baby to take care of. And so my goal was that when he went to kindergarten, I was going back to school. And so when he started kindergarten, I started working on my baccalaureate degree. I finished my baccalaureate degree at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I finished that degree in May of 2006. In August of 2006, I started my master's degree at the University of Tennessee. Between there, I accepted my call into ministry. And one thing that I learned is that in the same attitude and same energy that I had to be, that felt the need to be prepared for work in the field of health information management, I also needed to have that same attitude to be prepared to work in the field of ecumenics and theology and theological and ministry and theological studies. So I finished my master's at the University of Tennessee in December of 2010. And in January of 2011, I started seminary. Seminary was a different journey. My previous 3 degrees were in health information management. This was something brand new. So I pushed through and was able to finish my master's in theological studies in August of 2014. August of 2014, I was working in corporate America, and I was making really good money. I was taking care of my son. We were living a pretty good life. And then I got a call, and my call was, "Hey, we need to use you at a church." What? At a church? And so I really dealt with that, and I was making really good money, but I wasn't really happy in corporate America. So I said, okay. I left corporate America and took a pastoral appointment. And then I had started working part-time at a university. And a full-time position came up around the same time. And so while I did take a pay cut, I took the full-time job at the university along with my job as a pastor. And in those 2 positions, I learned something very important about myself and something that is a very important part of my educational philosophy. And that is that whether I am teaching someone about how to exegete a text or teaching them about HIPAA regulations and authorized parties and access to medical records, I am an educator. It is my job to help to shape the minds of those who are willing to learn. So that takes me to 2019. My desire was to be done with my education as soon as my son started high school, and that's what I did because I didn't want to miss any track meets, any baseball games, basketball games, any football games, or anything he had to do. So I went for those 4 years, so 6 years, and I obtained a numerous amount of certifications because while I'm an educator, I'm also a learner. I always am in a constant state of learning. So in 2019, I began my journey here at Logan University because I was working in an educational institution and I learned something very important. There's a transition from practice to pedagogy, and just because you are a great practitioner does not mean that you are a great teacher or instructor. And I wanted to be a great instructor. So that is what brought me here. So that is how we made it to this point. My future plan is to complete this degree and to go back and also do further studies in theology because, like I said, whether I am teaching someone about Pauline theology or teaching someone about quality and data analytics for healthcare, I'm an educator, and that's what's important. Thank you.